Hello,
Okay.
everyone. We have our good client here, Phyllis. Phyllis is super new to the program and she's doing pretty well. So we'll dive into a lot of like what's working well, what she's seeing. Um, so a good place to start, Phyllis, tell the people where are you from? What's your specialty? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm from Statesboro, Georgia. I've been an NP for about 6 years, and I work for an FQHC in Southeast Georgia.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, so family practice is a lot. We see a lot of low income patients, and it's really demanding. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be tough. And how long have you been with us so far?
Um, Maybe about 2 weeks. I think I'm just hitting like the 2 week mark. So a
Two
very
weeks.
small amount of time. Yeah, very small amount of time.
So super new. And in that 2 weeks, give us an idea of where were you at before and what were the main things you were looking for help on?
So I was overworked. I was really struggling with time management. I was bringing home charts every weekend. I was charting practically every day after work. So I was just
Mhm.
exhausted. I had no time for my family. I have a really amazing husband, but he was just pulling a lot of the weight. I really didn't have time for, my kids. I didn't have time for the things I love doing outside of work. So it
Mhm.
had just basically kind of, consumed my life. Um, and so I was just looking for a change. And I felt like, if something doesn't change, I'm going to have to figure out, another job, or I'm going to have to figure out a new profession or something because the stress was just too much. Um,
Yeah. And
so
because there's a couple of things there, your kids, your husband, yourself, what was being
mhm.
compromised literally 2 weeks ago as far as like that time with your kids? Like what was that looking like?
Yeah, like so I had no room for anyone else but my charts. Like just, being able to, you know, talk things through to them. They're a little bit older. They're kind of transitioning from, being teenagers to young adults. And one of my kids has special needs, so it's important to me to be able to help them work through things. And so I was not able to do that, or I had very little time, so I wasn't really as present as I
Mm.
wanted to be. Um, and like I said,
Wow.
my husband, he had taken on so much. And so I just wanted to be able to take some of that back,
Mhm.
and just to be able to enjoy myself and not think about work when I wasn't there. And they were like, Mom, you talk about work all the time. And it wasn't in a good way. I was so
Right.
frustrated. It was just a lot. It was a lot.
And it looks like you saw that you deserve more, that your family deserves more. What was that turning point for you that had you like reach out for help and like, okay, I don't deserve to keep living this way?
I think it was when I realized that I was putting more time into my job than I was into my family, because before that,
Mhm.
it was family first. Like my family always came first, my job always came second. And when that role kind of reversed, then I knew, something was not right. And I had to figure out a way to kind of get things back into perspective. And then I wasn't
Mhm.
happy. Like my happiness level was like at -10. I mean, it was terrible, and I had to
Negative.
drag myself out of. Yeah, it was negative. It was totally in the toilet, and I had to
Wow.
drag myself out of bed every morning just to make it into work. I mean, I love what I do, but the frustration, the stress, it was too much. So I was like, something's got to give. Either what's happening has to break, or I'm gonna break. So I had to figure
Wow.
out something.
Well, I'm glad you didn't let yourself break. And so give us an idea, where are we at now? A couple weeks in, what do things look like? I think you just gave me a pretty cool announcement earlier. Talk to me. Where are we at now?
So I watched the video about charting and charting more efficiently, and I realized that I've been doing some of those things, but I was super like I had to make sure everything was just so, and so I would go back and go back. And so the tips that you guys gave were amazing. And so the one and done thing just really stuck with me. And so now I can go into a room. I'm getting better at, really being present with my patients, but using that time well, getting out of that room, making sure I complete that chart before I leave. Um,
Mhm.
and then not feeling like I have to go back and just like nitpick through every little thing to make sure it's perfect. So that was a huge
Mhm.
load off. Yeah. So
Okay,
that's been
so
better.
efficiency and perfectionism, it sounds like are two key things.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Talk to me a little about the perfectionism. What was like we were going back, we were redoing things. What were things like what was your process?
So my process was like I use a lot of templates, but we have a lot of specific things that we have to place in our charts. And so um, I would go back through to make sure all of these teeny tiny little things were in place. And my MAs would do some of that. But then I wanted my chart to look a certain way, or I wanted to make sure the HPI was just right, or you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, those sorts of things. So they would stay open, and then I would get overwhelmed, and I'd be like, okay, well, I'll just go back and do it a little bit later. So the time management piece wasn't as consistent as it needed to be. And then if I couldn't get that HPI in right after I saw a patient, then I have to go back and figure out, okay, what happened with that person? Or I make little
Right.
notes, but then I have to kind of fill in the blanks. And that was super tedious. So being able to get it done right then, just my brain is like, thank you. You don't have to pull it all back
Yeah,
out
get
at,
it done
a
once.
later time. So yes,
Yeah.
get it done and get it
That's
over with.
get it done
So
once
that's
and not
my
have
motto.
to go back to what did patient number 8 say? What did patient number 9 say? Right? Like
Right.
getting it done all the time. That's really exciting. And now what do things look like personally now? Like what shifts have you seen, follow you home as a result of not bringing even like right now you told me like I'm literally not going home with charts. What's the home life look like?
So it's so much better. So I can go home, I can do some things in, my garden if I want to. I can sit down, I can see my kids, I can hang out with my husband a little bit. It's
Hmm.
not as overwhelming. I'm not sitting there thinking about what's in my inbox, what charts I've got to do, what's going to be waiting for me in the morning. Um, so that part is a lot better. I'm still
Wow.
learning how to, kind of manage those conversations with patients, especially when they want a lot of my time, and managing
Right.
not feeling guilty when I have to cut it off, But I'm definitely I've definitely gained some skills to help me manage that a little bit better. So I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
Yeah, we're just getting started, and this is so common. Like there was another lady who, same thing, 2 weeks is all it took for her to not bring charts home again. Is that quick? So that's really good to hear. Before getting help, right? What were your biggest concerns in actually like in doing it?
So, the first thing that runs through your mind is, is this for real? Is this like, are they really going to be able for you to kind of manage the stuff, So in the back of my brain, I was like, is this really going to work? But it is legit. And, I even, looked at some of the studies and that sort of thing before I, fully kind of got on board and everything, but it is legit. And, as I'm listening to other people that, are dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with, the people
Mhm.
pleasing, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like their family is not coming first, feeling like, they can't say no, or they can't, feeling bad about telling a patient, or putting boundaries between you and that patient. Um, we're not taught that in school. We're not taught that, in our fellowships. We're not taught that, when we're doing our clinicals and things of that nature. It's always what they need first, and then you just kind of get it done,
You last.
you know?
You last,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you're last, and that's it. Um, so understanding that there are other people out there that are dealing with the same thing we are, and having that validated is huge. That's not what
Yeah.
we deal with in our culture, um, in
And
medicine.
like to that NP who is sitting there right now, and maybe she has a call tomorrow, and she's her family's getting the worst of her, right? Her husband, her kids are getting the worst of her, and she's on the fence of is this real? Should I get help? Like, what would you tell that woman?
I would tell her if you feel like you're at the end of your rope, and if you feel like there's no way out, like nothing's going to change, um, the only person that can change that situation is you. And the best investment you can ever make is in yourself. Because
Hmm.
this is an investment, but it's really an investment in yourself. And just changing your mindset and changing how you look at the situation. You may not be able to change the system itself, but you can change how you interact with the system. And that takes a lot of the frustration and um, the disgust sometimes that we feel dealing with all this stuff.
Yeah.
It takes some of it away. So you're not as bitter about what you have to do when you feel like you can gain some of the control back, and understanding how to interact with the system um, gives you a sense of control, and you get that back. So I feel a little
And
bit
I
more
think
in
that's a
control
great
now.
point. I think that's a great point because that woman listening right now, she probably does think that there's nothing changing. She's probably looking
Mhm.
at the system and how it's designed, and I'm supposed to be this way, and like, what's the point? And that gives her power away, right? And so I love how you just put like take that control back because the system's not changing. That was a really good way to put it. I appreciate you. I'm excited for you, and I'm proud of you for the quick progress that you've made. We'll definitely do this again in a couple months when you're out of the program, or when your time is done in the program, and see the transformation then. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time, guys. Appreciate you.